The year was 1991, a time when, objectively, things were far more awesome than now. Boyz II Men were tearing it up as the first black band that white people adopted as their own. We were blessed with Arnie saying phrases that would sound nowhere near as cool if anyone else said it.
Hasta la vista, baby. Chill out, dickwad.
And George Costanza was hitting his straps and launching himself into neurotic, insecure immortality.
You're extremely careful with money.
What?
Forget it.
I'm cheap? You think I'm cheap?
See?
How could you say that to me? I can't believe this. How could you say that to me?
You asked me to!
You should have lied!
Then, somewhere in a room full of geniuses, somebody made a decision. A decision that would change the course of humanity forever. That fateful day, someone thought it was a great idea to have Steven Seagal host Saturday Night Live.
You serious?
And I think I can speak for the entire global population when I say thank you, you bloody legend, for inviting the champion Sensei Wrinkly Nuts to host.
Vladimir Putin.
Now, down here in Australia, SNL wasn't really a mainstream thing, but I was still aware of its existence and what it was about. Well, it turns out that not everyone in America was aware of SNL, including our plump master, Sensei Salty Nips.
He kept saying, I've never seen your show. I don't know what you do here. Like, really? You've never seen Saturday Night Live? Where do you live?
Now, before we get into all of Master Memory's quality scenes on the show, a little bit of background. As you heard above, Big Papa Babyback came in with a can-do winning attitude and willingness to make fun of himself in the name of comedy. Luckily for the SNL team, Lord Lumpy was already a master of comedy.
Have you ever done comedy? Yeah, I used to do stand-up. Stop, Steven, stop. It's a joke. You're That's my first attempt at comedy right there, and I failed, so maybe I better not do the show.
Truer words were never spoken.
Now, I've already provided you with all the indications that Sensei Snorty Pig would go on to become the greatest host in SNL history, right? Well, let's hear it from one of the veterans on the SNL team, Lorne Michaels, shown here praising Seafood Chunky Town in his interaction with Nicolas Cage.
Oh God, they must hate me. I mean, what are we gonna do?
No, don't worry, you'll be fine.
Well, they probably think I'm the biggest jerk who's ever been on the show.
No, that would be Steven Seagal.
Well,
Damn!
The only way to fully appreciate Grandmaster Gipmar's appearance is to go through his individual skits on the show. Before we do that, I would like to take a moment to thank all the legendary Seagalians for their support and kind words of encouragement. If you're not already part of Seagalism, then you're leading an existence without purpose, so think about liking and subscribing to join this cult of legendary lunatics.
No, you want to.
The alternative option is that I call in the debt collector, and that's especially bad for you ladies.
Yeah, now you owe me some good pussy.
Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind as we're watching this masterpiece of comedy and entertainment. During this period, Sensei Spirituality was going through his Buddhist Zen phase.
I follow Zen. Kind of remember the Zen of things, all right?
That's right.
And was also stuck in a world where he thought he was actually Italian.
Minchia potato, eh? So, you're graduating this year?
Yeah, I have some Italian on my mother's side.
Anybody seen Richie? Huh?
At some point, somebody told this bloke he was charismatic and had a presence.
Well, I guess the truth of the matter is that the president of Warner Brothers was a friend of mine, and he had been very interested in me as an actor for a long time. He felt that I was very charismatic and that I had a look.
A few of my closest friends, that are pretty much high up in Hollywood have been saying, you've really got the look, and you got the charisma, you got this and you got that. For years, I'd be walking into a restaurant or somewhere, and people come up to me and say, what have I seen you in? Or, I enjoy your work, or you were great in this.
He's 6'4". He's just big and imposing. There's a bloody big difference.
Hard facts!
The first set for the night was Hans and Franz.
Welcome, we're back. Once again, I'm Hans.
And I'm Franz, and we just want to pump
you up. All right.
Here, Big Daddy Nose was able to put aside his ego and act with true modesty and humility. as expected.
What happened with the Hans and Franz sketch?
When he came in, we wrote it, we did it at read-through, and all of it was them making fun of Steven. Like, right. Arnold is stronger than you. He could flick you with your little baby finger, and you would fly across the room and land in your own baby poop. You know, it's all this stuff, yeah. Your little spindly arms, and he's just reading his lines and not really reacting to it.
Right.
Then it gets on the show, it's picked. Then on Thursday, we're just on the soundstage rehearsing it. And we go through it with the cue cards. He reads his lines, very serious. Then he just walks off. He's like 50 feet away in the 8H, the studio. So I went up to him. I said, Steven, are you okay? And he just didn't look at me. He's looking straight forward. He goes, quote, and this is a quote, I just wish Arnold was here so I could kick his fucking ass.
So what does that mean? He didn't understand the sketch?
Well, I told him, I said, they're idiots. Right. Doesn't mean you're weaker than Arnold. These guys just worship Arnold.
Instead of Seagal in a clip where he makes fun of himself, he gets them to push against his pinky finger to show how tough he is.
What about this guy, Steven Seagal? Yeah, hear me now and believe me later. Arnold could easily rip Steven Seagal's skinny little arms off, and he can use them as nanofloss. That's right, unwaxed. Mr. Seagal! Mr. Seagal? Mr. Seagal, I didn't see you.
I couldn't help overhearing what you guys were saying, you know?
Oh, you was...
Look, fellas, let's not confuse the issue here. I don't want to compare myself to these other stars. They're great and everything like that, but what I do is unique, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
Anybody know why Richie did Bobby Lupo?
See, I follow Zen.
Oh, yeah, sure, we know Zen. First we lift the barbells, then we lift another. Yeah, right.
I don't think you guys understand what I'm talking about. Maybe I could demonstrate. I like to hold my little finger out and let you guys push on it.
Before you make this rash decision, you know, perhaps you should see what you're up against. Yeah.
Looks to me like you guys are like really constipated, you know? Maybe you could drink some prune juice or something. I don't know who taught you that stuff, but it's kind of silly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Go. All right, push Franz. I am pushing Hans, but Steven's baby finger is too strong. It's a super baby finger. Very impressed, Mr. Seagal. Maybe we misjudged you. Yeah, maybe you're not a girly man after all, Mr. Seagal. Yeah. Thanks,
you guys around just kind of remember the zen of things, all right?
That's right. Thank you. You know that.
Now, this next skit they must have slipped through without showing Seagal, because there is no way he would have allowed this treachery.
We're back. Once again, I am Hans Seagal. Yeah, and I'm Franz Seagal. And we just want to pump you up. Alright,
so we're off to a bit of a rough start. Some nerves are understandable, even for a professional like Sensei Sparkle Tits. Let's see how the opening monologue goes. And rather than a humorous skit as was originally planned,
I think maybe his 1-inch ponytail was too tight that night because he wouldn't do kung fu fighting as a cold open or a monologue, and it was like everybody was going. But we had it something funny, then he throws in little kicks, you know?
It would have been amazing.
It was amazing just because, and then I think we walk up and get kicked and fall down. And so he says he'll do it, but he just talks it. It's still kind of funny, but he won't play it all. And then the other sketches he was...
Sensei Rumpy Pumpy wanted to show off his many skills. I mean, before becoming an Oscar-worthy actor, he was a musical prodigy.
I'm a musician, as you know.
I was the only one that wasn't black that I knew that played exactly like them.
So, the entire opening was rewritten to indulge Master Dimple Dick's massively growing ego, and this shit was before he made Under Siege and reached his peak, and he was already a self-obsessed tossbag.
Great to be here in New York, and it's great to be opening up Saturday Night Live. Most of you probably know me from my action-adventure films, Above the Law, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, stuff like that. My newest film, Out for Justice, which is #1 in the nation right now. But my movies are more than just action. And I like to try to explore the mythical poet and the warrior, the relationship between man and God, the struggle of the common man against politically corrupt system. I hope you'll forgive me for being a little bit serious, but it's important to me to let you know that there's a lot more to Steven Seagal than the martial art. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to sing and play and hang around. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Fast as lightning. It was a little bit frightening.
They were going with expert timing. Well, there was a funky China man, funky Chinatown. They were chopping him up, chopping him down. There was funky Billy Chin and little Sammy Chung. I was kung fu fighting, but fast as lightning. And back was a little bit frightening, but done with expert timing. We got a real great show tonight. Michael Bolton's here. We'll be right back.
Right. The next skit is basically Lord Limpcock playing himself in real life and every one of his characters in a movie, a rude, obnoxious bully that nobody likes. And as you would think, he absolutely nailed it. Here we have everything from quality Seagal dialogue delivery.
I caught these two guys with 3 kilos of cocaine. What do you think they were doing with it? Making shark for girls' softball game. Plus,
his patented bullying and extreme physical aggression towards co-stars.
A little less action than you're used to, huh, Nico?
Yeah.
Look at the force in which he pushes Chris Farley. There's obviously dickhead intentions behind the aggressive push, and the woman in the skit also looks over at Seagal. I guarantee you she's thinking, there was no need to push him that hard, you tiny dick moron.
I don't mind if everybody dies.
He even manages to make the Richmeister skits cringy and almost unbearable. And of course, another excuse to throw people around and show how tough he is.
Nico!
Hey, Rich.
Janelatola! The guy who breaks the rules.
Do me a favor. Shut up, all right?
Nico, the lone wolf.
I'm not in the mood for this, you know?
All right, Nico. Not in the mood. Bad mood for the Niguana.
Listen to me, I'm serious. I think you better shut up now, you know what I'm saying?
Next game!
I just want to show you just what I'm thinking.
Oh no, the Richmeister thrown through the copy machine. Possible concussion for the rich man.
Listen to me carefully. I don't want you to talk about anything to me anymore. I don't want you to say my name anymore. You hear me? I don't want you to talk to me no more. You got it?
I can almost guarantee you Rob Schneider is definitely thinking to himself, why the f did I agree to this shit? Some of the most talented comedians at the time, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman and Rob Schneider, couldn't stop Seagal from snatching the life out of this skit.
I got a lot of money.
Chris Rock was fortunate enough to see the amazing talents of King Crunchnuts up close as he witnesses the complete destruction of this scene. Seagal is acting as Andrew Dice Clay, and I think we can all agree his comedic timing is on point.
It's a beautiful thing.
Sit your white ass down.
I am a little bit Asian.
How you doing that? It's nice to be on your show here. What are you talking about? Four Failing was one of the best movies ever made, and I kick any butt you could say that didn't make their kind of money. It wasn't my fault. It was the critics. You know, the critics, they're just a bunch of overpaid.
You got a movie coming out this summer?
No.
How about next summer?
No, but I'm amazing anyway. Just because I treat the chicks like the pigs that they are.
Especially fat chicks.
Hey, I ain't see you any movies, and what's the afro anyway? You look like Link from the Mod Squad. Oh! Oh, it's 1991. You know, why don't you cut it square? Bada bing.
All right, cracker boy.
It's quite evident that Big Daddy didn't bother to learn any of his lines or rehearse at all. It is at this point that we get a genuine, heartfelt, emotional look of disgust from Chris Rock, because there's only so much a man can take. Even his mid-show cross to the musical act, Michael Bolton, is perfectly executed as he says the guy's name like a turtle.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Bolton.
Everyone knows it's Michael Bolton, not Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton.
Seagal rubbed a lot of people the wrong way on set. His attitude was horrible from the outset, and as we're about to hear, they had to rewrite so many of his skits to keep him happy.
And
bring cookies on set.
So we rewrote it. I don't know if he ever saw it. Maybe.
You mean you couldn't explain to him that in the sketch you guys love Arnold Schwarzenegger, so he couldn't make fun of himself.
So we did the sketch different so that he was, there's only one person stronger than Arnold, and that's Steven Seagal.
If I do this sketch, if I do it, and they want to fight him. Hey, we'll take you on. He goes, if I do it, I have to beat them up. But that was his attitude the whole week was...
Let's just say there was a lot of envy and jealousy.
I would like you a lot less if you had a dick, especially if it was bigger than mine.
He also wanted some of his own brilliant and hilarious ideas inserted, such as...
He had this idea that he's a therapist, and he wanted Victoria Jackson to be his patient who'd just been raped. And the therapist says, you're going to have to come to me twice a week for like 3 years, because, he said, that's how therapists f***ing are. They're just trying to get your money. And then he says the psychiatrist tries to have sex with her.
Now you're probably thinking, it can't get any worse, right? And that's a fair assessment and question to ponder. But, you'd be completely...
Wrong.
Here he is in the scene with the great Chris Farley.
I am Haru.
And somehow, as only he can do, he manages to make this almost unwatchable because of his uncanny ability to destroy everything he's involved with.
You know, Mrs. Novak, I can see where Jennifer gets her good looks. You're an older lady. You're holding up pretty well.
Well, I'm sure that your mother is beautiful in her own way.
No.
Hey, look, this is Jennifer's date, Doug. This is Jennifer's dad.
Mr. Novak? I think this kid needs an ashtray. So, you're graduating this year? I might. Do you have any plans? No plans. No. That makes me very nervous. You know, people who see my daughter should have plans. No, I'm real good with cars. Well, that's good, because I guess that means in the middle of the night I won't get a phone call that your car broke down and that's why you were late or anything like that, will I? No. That's good.
Hmm?
I think Dougie here needs a soda. Man, your daughter sure does take her time. What? Does that bother you? No. It's a nice watch you've got there. Yeah, my grandmother gave it to me last year for graduation.
Is that your car out there? Wow, it looks so cool from here. Did you clean it or what?
Why don't you go out and look at it? I'm sure Dougie won't mind. So what are you planning to do this evening with my daughter? We're gonna party. Hope you don't mind. Well, I guess it wouldn't matter if I did, because I wouldn't be there at the time. I'd be here waiting. What are you reading? This is called Silent Killers. Is it any good? It's very informative.
Can we all appreciate the brilliance of how fantastic this is? If it weren't for the talented supporting cast, who Steven generously permitted to work with him, there would not be a single laugh for this whole scene.
Hey, honey, how about some coffee? I've got some decaf back there. You want some?
Herbal tea, honey.
Herbal tea.
All right, I checked out the car. The left rear tire is a little worn, but he's got a spare, and the jack works. The oil's okay. The pan is scuffed, but not leaking. The tie rods need new brakes. Oh, and I found this in the glove compartment. It's a fake ID. It says he's 25.
Get out of here.
Yes, sir.
Listen, son, I know that you think that I may be a little bit old-fashioned or something like that, but I have something that I'd kind of like to show you that has great significance to me. Just a little something that I got overseas. I was part of the SKC unit when I was there.
What's that?
That's nothing in particular. I was a paid assassin.
I guess he told you that story about the man in the Philippines that he killed, too.
Assassinated, honey.
Assassinated. But you were working for the government, dear. He always leaves that part out.
He's ex-special forces. The guy's a fucking killing machine.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little chilly out. I think she needs a sweater.
Yes, you need a sweater, sweetie. I'll go get it. What time do you want me to come home, Daddy?
Oh, with me, it really doesn't matter at all. I
could care less. Let's just leave that up to him.
Well, I was thinking I'd have Jennifer home by 10.
What? What?
Yep.
What?
9:30.
Yeah, I guess that sounds okay. Well, I guess I will be waiting here. What the f*** am I watching?
Everyone in this scene looks like they're stuck in a room with that creepy uncle who lets his hands wander when he shouldn't. Particularly this poor young lady. Every time she feels Sensei's sausage fingers on her body, she recoils in horror. A little piece of her dies with every touch. Look at her eyes, looking away. This scene looks more like a hostage situation than a comedy skit. And our final gift from Sensei Flabbington is basically his entire persona rolled into one. He plays some Zen master, environmental photographer tough guy.
I was in the military for a long time. I was in the Army Special Forces.
And probably that also, yep. It starts off brilliantly, as you would expect. But don't worry, we have a strong ending.
The darkness of secrecy. Like the darkness of this darkroom. Darkness, everybody! Darkness is spreading! But when the light of photographic documentation is let in, the darkness is dispelled, and these ecological criminals are exposed, like the rolls of film. Do not give in to anger, my son, for anger leads to violence, and only the path of non-violence leads to ecological wholeness.
I understand.
Big Daddy stumbles into a room of oil execs and decides to tear shit up with his usual positive attitude and awesome acting.
Why, if it isn't Brace Steele, Greenpeace photographer.
I'm sorry to spoil all of your fun.
Oh, you won't be spoiling our fun, Mr. Steele. We'll be spoiling yours.
Oh, no? I've got evidence. Photographic evidence.
And what might that be, Mr. Steele?
I've got a picture of you saying that this oil spill will be the granddaddy of them all.
I've got a picture of you talking about Exxon hit teams and assassinations. And perhaps the most interesting, a picture of you listening to the
President of the United States on speakerphone as he reveals his part in the conspiracy.
The President of the United States on speakerphone as...
You'll never make this stick, Steele. It won't hold up in court.
Oh? I think it will.
I'll just say we were talking about something else.
Such as?
I try not to act, you know.
Drilling for oil, something like that?
Maybe. But the press will be very interested to know why the President of the United States was talking to you on the speakerphone.
Speakerphone.
Well, I'll just say it wasn't the President on the phone, but somebody else.
Such as?
An Exxon Company employee, an oil driller, say.
We'll see.
In the meantime, Mr. Steele, the only crime of which we have any real evidence is your trespass on Exxon Company property.
Maybe.
I think the most important thing in acting is to not act.
What's the matter, Mr. Steele? Don't you fight back? Oh, I forgot. You Greenpeace types are all pacifists, aren't you?
Remember, my son, only the path of nonviolence leads to ecological wholeness.
Once again, please bask in the brilliance that is Master Manatee's acting prowess. He is still making movies to this day. This guy. Yep.
Aye.
We would expect nothing less from anything involving Seagal, so the skit ends with Granddaddy Droopy Dick throwing people through the breakaway sets on scene. Why? Because he is Steven Seagal, and he says so.
Yeah, I just,
Now that makes me violent.
This is a valuable lesson to any fool out there planning on hurting the environment.
This is what happens when you pollute the planet.
Rumour has it this scene is what inspired Greta Thunberg to become a climate activist.
How dare you!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the infamous episode of SNL where our Lord and Master Pudgy Gut showed his comedic flair, diverse acting range, and ability to exhibit some form of humility. Even in the end credits, you can see how people warm towards
Michael Bolton,
and Seagal just wanders off towards the band. So what do you think was Big Papa Pum Pum's best moment on SNL? And by best, I mean best or worst. Either is applicable.
I really don't know.
He proudly exudes a real flog energy, and it's extremely difficult to find a moment where he was actually affable to any extent. But that is exactly why we love Sensei Tenderloin. He exhibits all of the traits of a grade 1 legendary tosspot who was given opportunities that could have gone to people that are actually talented. Unfortunately, life isn't fair. All you can do is be the best Sensei Seagal you can be, minus all the narcissistic dickhead traits.
I haven't been wrong yet.
As always, thanks for watching, my friends. I'll see you all soon with a video about something random, no doubt, but still with the essence of Big Daddy gonorrhea at its core. Until then, you legends, go and do some Zen shit, and don't
pollute the planet!
But above all, stay awesome. Peace, legends.
When I'm sailing away, sun shining bright in the sky, and I'm free.